Hello students, in last video we have discussed about central lymphoid organ. They are the organ, they are the main site where the B lymphocyte and T lymphocyte are produced and get mature. The second type of lymphoid organ are secondary lymphoid organ or peripheral lymphoid organ. These are the sites where mature B and T lymphocytes come into the circulation. They spend their life in this lymphoid organ, interact with antigen and provide immune response. That is why they are called peripheral or secondary lymphoid organ. The first peripheral lymphoid organ is lymph node. They are encapsulated bean-shaped structure containing a reticular network packed with lymphocyte, macrophages, and dendritic cells. They are clustered at the junction of lymphatic vessels. Like circulatory system that is made up of artery, vein, and small capillaries, the lymphatic system is the system which circulates tissue fluid or body fluid throughout the body, and it is made up of lymphatic vessel. The lymphatic vessel, they join together at a particular place, and that is called lymph node. The lymph node are the first organized lymphoid structure to encounter antigen that enters from the tissue spaces. The bloodborne infection or the bloodborne antigen, they directly enter into the blood, but those antigen or those pathogen which enter through the organ or tissue, they first enter into the tissue fluid and they are then poured into the lymph, and there they encounter the immune cells. The structure of lymph node have an individual structure of the lobes made up of a specialized structure from where the blood vessel and lymphatic vessel enter and leave the lymph node. This area is called hilus. A typical lymph node is surrounded by fibrous capsule which is separated by tubercle into the nodes. The morphology of the lymph node can be divided into three rough concentric regions, each of which support a distinct microenvironment. This microenvironment is very much important for activation, proliferation, and production of immune response by B lymphocyte and T lymphocyte. The first structure is cortex, which is the outermost part. The cortex is considered as an area dominated by B cell. It contains mostly B lymphocyte, macrophages, follicular dendritic cell, and they produce a specialized structure that is called primary follicle. Primary follicle is the first part or first region in which the mature B lymphocyte again interact with antigen and they converted into activated plasma cell. This process is called affinity maturation. In starting phase of this process, the follicles are comparatively small and it is dominated by macrophages and follicular dendritic cell. After antigenic challenge, that means when antigen enters into the lymph node, this dendritic cell and macrophages, they engulf them and present to the immature B cell. The primary follicle enlarged into the size and converted into secondary follicle because of the proliferation of B lymphocyte. And in center of the secondary follicle, there is a specialized area that is called germinal center where the affinity maturation takes place. Here you can see the structure of a lymph node. These are the follicles where the B cell get activated and converted into plasma cell. Initially, it is smaller in size and called primary follicle. When it is activated by antigen, enlarges in the size and converted into secondary follicle. The second part is paracortex, which is lying beneath the cortical area. This is the part which is populated largely with T lymphocyte and also contain interdigitating dendritic cell. The third part is medulla, which is innermost part. of the lymph node, and it consists mostly cellular cord containing T cell, B cell, abundant in plasma cell and macrophages, means the immunoreactive cell are found in medulla. In medulla, the lymphocyte, plasma cell, macrophages are arranged into a specialized structure that is elongated branching band, and it is called medullary cord, which is easily identified in the histological sections. This is the medullary cord, which you can see, right, where the activated T cell, B cell, and macrophages are arranged in a proper sheath-like structure so that they can scavenge antigen and eliminate them. Here you can see the primary follicle, which is very small in size. As far as the antigen is concerned, when it is interacting with the macrophages and dendritic cell, activate the B lymphocyte. B lymphocyte will start proliferating. The follicle will enlarge and convert it into secondary follicle. The center is called germinal center. The main function of lymph node are the filtering of the lymph. It will purify the tissue fluid or body fluid. They carry out phagocytosis of the tissue-borne foreign material, especially infectious microorganisms. They help in proliferation and circulation of T lymphocyte and B lymphocyte, and they enlarge following the local antigenic stimulation. The second lymphoid organ is spleen. The spleen is a large secondary lymphoid organ located into abdominal cavity. It is also considered as a graveyard for different types of blood cell, because most of the blood cell, they are disintegrated or recycled or destroyed in spleen. If you look to the structure of spleen, it is again a capsulated structure extended into a number of projections, that is called tubercle, into the interior to form a compartmentalized structure. The spleen is divided in two areas, white pulp and red pulp, depending upon the activity of different types of blood cell. The white pulp is surrounded by branches of splenic artery, forming a periarterial lymphoid sheath, that is called pulse, which is populated mainly by T lymphocyte. That is why it is also considered as a thymic dependent area. The primary lymphoid follicle are attached to pulp, where the antigen are filtered and activate the macrophages and dendritic cell. These follicles are rich in B lymphocyte, and some of them contain germinal center, where the affinity maturation takes place, which is developed followed by the antigenic stimulation. This is the spleen. Here you can see the white pulp and red pulp, where different types of blood cells shows their immunological activity. The red pulp of spleen is generally consists of a network of sinusoids. Sinusoid means small passage through which the liquid or blood passes into the spleen. Function of spleen. The main function of spleen is recycling of blood cell. That is why it is called graveyard for blood cell. And mounting of immune response against the antigen which are coming from blood. So, blood-borne antigen encounter with B and T lymphocyte through the spleen, while tissue-borne antigen encounter with B and T lymphocyte through the lymph node. The third and again very much important secondary lymphoid organ is mucosa-associated lymphoid tissue, that is called MALT. Different mucosal lining of alimentary canal, respiratory tract, genitourinary tract, and other lumen and surfaces are constantly exposed to numerous antigen. They are the primary site. These vulnerable membrane surfaces are defended by a group of organized lymphoid tissue known collectively as mucosal associated lymphoid tissue. Mucosal associated lymphoid tissue of intestine, intestinal tract, genitourinary tract, tracheobronchial tree, and mammary gland are predominantly studied. All the mild are non-capsulated and contain both T and B lymphocytes, where B lymphocytes are predominant. Structurally, this tissue includes clusters of lymphoid cells in lamina propria of intestinal villi, tonsil, appendix, and in the form of Peyer patches. Tonsil. They are present in the oropharynx and are predominantly populated by B lymphocyte. Oropharynx means where the esophagus and you can say the pharynx and larynx, they are connected with mouth. That area, there you find the tonsils. They are the site of intense antigenic stimulation because from air or from nose, the antigen directly encounter with the tonsil, and from mouth also the antigen directly encounter with the tonsil. So it is highly loaded with the antigenic stimulation. The second is Peyer patches. They are the lymphoid structure that are found within the submucosal layer of the intestinal lining. This is the structure of Peyer patches. These are the microvilli which is present into the lumen of the intestine, and in between you will find this lymphoid tissue in the form of patch. There is a specialized cell present between the brushing border of the intestine that is called M cell, which provides entry of antigen into the inner space of the intestine. The follicle of Peyer patches are extremely rich in B lymphocyte. Their B lymphocyte activated, differentiated, and produce special type of antibody, that is IgA, which is secretory in nature, and it is secreted outside the intestinal wall and provide local immunity. Specialized epithelial cell known as M cell are found in abundance in the dome epithelia of Peyer patches. Particularly, they are predominated in ileum region. Here you can see M cell which provide entry to the pathogen or antigen. The primary follicle made up of macrophages and B lymphocyte get activated, converted into secondary follicle where you find germinal center. B lymphocytes are converted into plasma cell and they secrete IgA antibody. The first GALT is gut-associated lymphoid tissue, that is called GALT. It includes tonsil, adenoids, and Peyer patches present in intestine. The lymphoid tissue present in respiratory tract, it is called bronchial associated lymphoid tissue. The mucosal or secretory immune system is very much important to provide local immunity. As we have discussed, mucous membrane are the effective barrier for the entrance of most pathogens, which contribute to the non-specific immunity. So it is a part of innate immune response. These indicate the existence of common mucosal or secretory immune system. Here you find certain specific immune response via production of IgA. The M cell is the entry point. B lymphocyte and macrophages are activated in primary follicle, converted into germinal center, where the B cell produces IgA via plasma cell, and this IgA is secreted outside the intestinal lining into the lumen, and there it provides the local immunity. So this is all about the primary and secondary lymphoid organ. Depending upon their role, they are given different category, and they are equally important for production, maturation, activation, and functioning of different immune cells.